barrage of buses, pedestrians, automobiles, tradesmen with barrows and horse-drawn carriages, all vying for precedence, lanes and rules nowhere to be seen. Nothing much had changed since Baudelaire wrote in Paris Spleen of his terror of horses and vehicles, as he had his hero cross the boulevard in a great hurry, splashing through the mud in the midst of a seething chaos, and with death galloping at me from every side. A degree of regulation came with the peace, but it came too late for poor Henri Lou. In April 1919, he was hit and killed by a car, caught out by the fast-evolving rhythms of urban life. Landowska drafted telegrams in French and German, writing of her grief and nostalgia, which she said she would keep at bay in the company of her old friends, Bach, Mozart, and Rameau, and her Pleyel harpsichord too. And then she buried herself in work. Concerts, teaching, writing. She obtained a passport from the new Republika Polska, a country reconstituted at last at the Versailles Peace Conference, which listed her height as average, her face oval, her hair and eyes black, her profession musicienne. It soon contained a string of stamps and visas. Bern at the end of October 1919, Amsterdam in early November, then Boncourt, Lugano on the 18th, Basel 2 days later for a performance of Bach's St. Matthew Passion, the first time in the 20th century that the harpsichord was used as a continuo, Lugano once more, Della at the end of December, then, with a visa à Paris in her passport, she set up home once more in the French capital, again with her housekeeper, Schoenecker, this time in the 18th arrondissement. She taught privately and in Basel, and at the new École Normale de Musique, which Courtauld and Landowska's gallant ally, Auguste Mangeot, had founded in 1918. Landowska was expunging tragedy through travel. She toured Spain, England also, and then in 1923, leaving from the port of Le Havre on board the three-funneled Paris, America, for performances with Leopold Stokowski and the Philadelphia Orchestra, and for her first recordings. On a return trip 3 years later, she was photographed in the armor room of the Cleveland Museum of Art, a serene and imperious figure in dark, dowdy 1920s clothing, light gloves, a fashionable cloche hat, standing incongruously next to an armored horse and rider. It was a thrilling time for her, the bedding down of her international career as a scholar and performer, the promise of her pre-war talent now recognized on several continents. It was in these years of loss and frenetic touring that she had a most inspired idea. She bought a villa in Saint-Leu-la-Florée, 20 kilometers north of the center of Paris, and in 1927 built in the gardens a small concert hall seating 80, 100 at a push. The architect, Jean-Charles Moreau, worked to her exacting brief. In conversations and letters, Landowska specified the size, materials, position, acoustic, portico, an innovative suspended glass roof, which would bathe the interior in natural light during the long daylight hours of the summer months, and the low stage, which would encourage intimacy between performers and audiences. This hall, and the annual summer school she planned to run from it, would allow her to work with rare concentration, not solely as a scholar, performer, and teacher, but as a gramophone artist too. The age of electrical recording had begun. Landowska inaugurated the hall on the 3rd of July 1927, playing on harpsichord and piano. Her confrère Courtauld, photographed with her that day in front of the portico, played piano only. Works by Chambonnière, Pasquini, Couperin, Rameau, Bach, and Mozart. Her harpsichord and Pleyel grand were on the small stage, but she positioned other instruments, a cabinet organ, a clavichord, a table keyboard, the Bauza piano, along the walls of the auditorium. They were in perfect working order, each able to unlock some magical aspect of the music played on it. The weight of the keys, the quality of the sound, the speed of the action, all shaped Landowska's thinking. In the 12 summers that followed, Landowska's salle was host to the most exciting developments in early music anywhere in the world. Renowned musicians, Arthur Honegger, Jacques Ibert, Vladimir Horowitz, and Francis Poulenc, touchingly photographed by Schoenecker at a session with Landowska on his concert champêtre, came to perform and listen, pupils to study, audiences to observe. She attracted writers too, and painters and sculptors. Edith Wharton, Paul Valéry, and Aristide Maillol became friends. Hart Crane described Paris in 1929 as a city of dinners, soirees, poets, erratic millionaires, painters, translations, lobsters, absinthe, music,